There are two topics that invariably captivate any audience or community discussion: marriage and Jinn. These subjects resonate deeply, often drawing significant attention and engagement. I recall with admiration a scholar who once proposed a compelling idea. Instead of addressing marriage and Jinn separately, why not combine them into a single lecture focused on the concept of marrying a Jinn? Such a topic would undoubtedly fill the venue to capacity. This intersection is fascinating because it's not merely folklore, it is a theme documented within classical texts related to human interaction with Jinn. Discussions often explore the challenges of compatibility, particularly given the fundamental differences between species, which naturally introduces complexities and resistance. Interestingly, there are accounts of individuals attempting, and in some cases succeeding, in forming marital bonds with Jinn. I once encountered a gentleman who shared his personal experience. After 3 unsuccessful marriages with human partners, he decided to pursue marriage with a Jinn, believing it might offer fewer complications. While I remain cautious about the veracity of such claims, the notion reflects the intriguing narratives surrounding this subject. However, from a theological and ethical standpoint, the primary consideration when discussing any entity, be it a different species or community, should be the recognition and respect of their rights upon us. When it comes to Jinn, after clarifying their nature, the foremost priority must be understanding the responsibilities and obligations we hold towards them. Animals have inherent rights over us just as the Jinn possess rights upon us. Similarly, as we acknowledge with the angels, who should not be offended, the Jinn also have established rights that must be respected. This principle is deeply rooted in the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who provided clear guidance and directives concerning these rights. There is a notable instance where Jinn from the region around the Tigris River approached the Prophet, peace be upon him, with grievances. In response, he issued specific commands and prohibitions grounded in these interactions. For example, the Prophet, peace be upon him, prohibited the Arabs and those in the desert from urinating in random holes, recognizing these as habitats of the Jinn, thereby safeguarding their rights and space. Additionally, during one of his sermons, the Prophet, peace be upon him, addressed the treatment of certain snakes. He instructed that if one encounters a particular poisonous snake, identified by 2 distinctive lines on its back, or snakes with mutilated or shortened tails, these should be killed due to the harm they pose. However, when it came to the common house snake, which was well known to the Arabs of that era and posed no harm, he advised a different approach. Instead of killing it immediately, one should first warn the snake and request it to leave. The early Muslims practiced this method, and it proved effective, demonstrating the Prophet's, peace be upon him, emphasis on balancing protection with respect for creation. The Prophet, peace be upon him, indicated that many of the snakes commonly encountered, especially in desert environments, such as non-poisonous species, are often considered to be manifestations of Jinn. Given the frequent encounters with snakes, scorpions, and similar creatures in such regions, it is easy to identify harmful species at a glance. For those snakes that do not pose a threat, the Prophet advised not to kill them immediately, but rather to request that they leave peacefully, affording them the opportunity to do so. This approach acknowledges the possibility that these creatures may be Jinn who hold certain rights over us. Furthermore, the Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke about the presence of Jinn around us, referencing the Quranic concept of the waswasa, the whispering Jinn that continually tempt humans towards evil, in contrast to angels who encourage good deeds. He emphasized that every individual has such a Jinn attached to them, including himself. However, Allah, in His mercy, supported the Prophet against this evil Jinn, which subsequently embraced Islam and only guided him towards good. Additionally, the Prophet, peace be upon him, provided guidance on being mindful of Jinn in everyday life, including considerations related to food consumption. He taught the importance of being respectful and cautious, such as properly disposing of bones and leftovers to avoid harm and uphold the rights of the unseen beings around us. In our interactions with the Jinn, it is essential to exercise caution and adhere to prescribed guidelines. One key admonition is to avoid consulting fortune tellers or individuals who claim to possess knowledge of the future. Many such individuals engage in communication with jinn, but their information is unreliable. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, explained that these jinn can only overhear fragments of conversations from the heavens, as they have been forbidden from accessing the celestial realms since the revelation of the Quran. Consequently, they receive limited information, which they then distort by mixing truth with numerous falsehoods before conveying it to the fortune tellers. Therefore, reliance on such sources for future knowledge is misguided and discouraged. Furthermore, the Prophet, peace be upon him, provided practical guidance to safeguard oneself from being observed by jinn, particularly when entering private spaces such as restrooms. He taught the recitation of a specific supplication seeking refuge from male and female jinn from witnessing the believer at that vulnerable moment. Allah, in turn, protects the believer during these times. Upon exiting, one is advised to seek Allah's forgiveness as an additional spiritual safeguard. This reflects the delicate balance required in our relationship with jinn, avoiding actions that might provoke harm or offense, while simultaneously taking proactive measures to protect ourselves from potential harm and unwanted observation.